Hey everybody, it's your pal Mike Zombie, and this week we're going to talk about Shockwaves from 1977. This movie stars some reasonably famous people. Peter Cushing and John Carradine, to be exact, and a bunch of people I've never heard of since. This, of course, is probably the first Nazi zombie movie I ever remember seeing. I didn't see this until probably I was a teenager, but I'd seen this from the standee at the video rental store. The Shockwaves, when it shows the zombies, the Nazi zombies, kind of rising up out of the water, holding a little ship with people on it, screaming, going apeshit. That was on display in the video store that my mother used to take me to rent horror movies. And for some reason, we never rented it. She was more of a slasher movie fanatic than a zombie. So now, for those of you who have already seen this movie, you're going to hear my review and say, wait a minute, you like this, but you cut down dead snow a few weeks ago? Yeah, I will, because this is 1970s horror. Good stuff, though. As you recall, I was complaining about how poor the Nazi uniforms looked in Dead Snow, and to be honest, they look even worse in Shockwaves, but I'm going to give them the exemption because they spend 98% of their time underwater, so these uniforms shouldn't look good. There really isn't much as far as badges or pageantry or anything going on with these. It's just like they almost look like soggy clothes. The movie starts out looking back, explaining the origin of the Death Corps, which is the Nazis that this movie's kind of focusing in on. Near the end of the war, Allied forces had reported encountering SS troops that were staggeringly brutal in their fighting, and they fought without weapons and killed without weapons, and that Allied forces never took a single one of them prisoner. So we end up jumping to an excursion boat in the late 70s, somewhere off the Florida Keys, somewhere down there. And, of course, it's just a rickety old wreck full of angry people. The passengers aren't very happy. The boat is somewhat shabby. I come from a line of sailors, and I can tell you, the boat did not look that good to me. The captain is, of course, John Carradine, who you also might remember from The Howling. Anyway, and he's just a salty old piss-filled angry sea dog. He's taking these people out. And they're kind of going around sightseeing, doing some scuba diving, so forth. They don't really ever say where they're at, but it's pretty clear it's somewhere off the coast of Florida. All of a sudden, something starts to bubble from down below the water, and the sky turns somewhat crimson. And throughout the beginning, everybody's hearing weird noises off into the ocean, bubbles and so forth. And down below, we see an old sunken ship, which frankly looks like here's where I start to get shitty and criticize. It looks like it's in a whole bunch of pieces, and more bubbling, and in the night it rises. So this little tour boat's kind of puttering along. They're not sure where they are because ever since these things started, all of their instrumentation isn't working, and nothing works. It's too much of a jalopy for them to have any type of real radar. So they're using a compass and other stuff. They're using the old mariner, ways of finding out where they are. But nothing is working. And late at night, from out of nowhere, this ship that rose up from the water kind of bangs off the side of this little boat on its path. And we can clearly see it's a large vessel. It's got a deck. It's got a tower. It's got, everything a ship should have, though it looks a bit rusty as it goes by. It bangs off the ship, kind of crippling this little ship, and everybody's freaking out. What happened? What happened? Is it a ghost ship? What happened? They can't see it. So in the morning, we see it's a ship that's run aground, and clearly it's not the ship that banged into the little tiny excursion boat the night before, because it's just a carcass. It looks like an outer shell, and I'm going to say most of the metal is missing off this boat. There's no deck. There's no tower. No nothing. So I had a problem with that, but it's run aground, as has the little boat. Luckily, they're right near this little island now that the sun's up and they can see it. They make their way ashore to this island and find the captain, of course, John Carradine, dead. And they're walking around, and oh my God, what do we know? There's a giant mansion, cabana / resort / club med building thing. Not too far away. So they're like, hooray, we'll go there. Well, they go there and they show up, and it's just a complete shithouse. Everything is dirty, old, dilapidated. Palm fronds are everywhere. It's completely abandoned. Or is it? Because there's a record player, an old wind-up record player playing music, and some other things that indicate there's a fish tank. Then they run into Peter Cushing, who's a German man with one hell of a scar on his face, demanding to know why they're at his place. And they say, well, we ran into that wreck and went aground, and here we are. And he's like, what wreck? And they said, the ship out there. And he said, what ship? You know. And he doesn't believe there's a wreck there. So he goes and looks and recognizes the ship, and now he's all freaked out. He tells the story that he was the commander of the Death Corps, and he brought them here at the end of the war because they were supposed to surrender to the Allied troops or something, and the Death Corps was out of control. He couldn't control them. They were killing people and fighting each other and just being, apparently they were being bad Nazis, I guess. And he sent the boat to the bottom of the ocean to ensure they would die. And he swam to this little island, like an innocent little guy, like a good guy apparently, to live out his days. Oh, now he knows they're going to come back for him. And these Nazis, yeah, they come back. They're wearing goggles. They have pasty white. They have like the ultimate old man hands if you stay in the tub too long. Anyway, they walk around, they hunt everybody down and kill almost everybody. It's pretty entertaining, I guess. It's an older horror movie that I enjoyed when I was a teen. Granted, that was a long time ago, but it's not scary, but it's kind of fun. Some of the zombies, I'm guesstimating that they probably had 10 guys total to put in this makeup. Some of them are really good at holding their breath and some are not. So sometimes when the zombies rise up out of the water, if you look closely, you'll see them go as they gasp for air. They're not supposed to do that, but it's pretty entertaining when they do. It goes on and on and on, and it's basically, your typical horror movie with everybody's just trying to run away from the big scary monster. But I do enjoy this film. I do like to watch it from time to time. It is dated, but I would say definitely check it out just to see John Carradine. And it's one of the first Nazi zombie movies I remember. I think I'm back. There were lots of them, lots of Nazi, exploitation movies like in that era, the whole Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS and all these other types of movies, certainly. But as far as zombie Nazis, this is about as far back as I can remember. And some things you can't unremember. For example, not many people know that McPierce, growing up, was probably one of the best break dancers at his high school. In fact, he had a real honest shot to be in Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, but I guess something didn't work out with transportation or whatever. But McPierce, I salute you, and I will pop lock, do the dolphin, and do the robot in your honor today. Was I supposed to say that? I don't know. Gal doesn't like it when I talk about, the old days like that. Anyways, but he's a badass dude. Anyways, I'm sorry, folks. I'm tired. It's been a long day, and I worked in the sun all day. So that's the movie. Check it out. It's a good one. I give it a thumbs up, even though it's, it leaves a lot to be desired if you're going to compare it to something that was just made. But I love good old-fashioned 70s and 80s horror. I just do. That's what I was raised on. So anyways, enjoy the movie. I'll see you next week.